All right. Good afternoon to you all. I know each and everyone is fine by God, please. My name is Apostle Daniel. Welcome back to my channel, the Logical Accountancy channel. That's my YouTube channel, please. If you haven't subscribed to it, please kindly subscribe to it. Um, Click also on the notification button or share a lot of videos there to help you in your academic excellence. Okay, we got to inventory as money. Okay, so you can say inventory plan, inventory stock. You can stock of the other. Nneɛma yɛfa na yɛtɔn anaasɛ nneɛma yɛbɛtumi afa aba yɛn nnwuma mu na yɛasan abɛ process de ayɛ ade foforɔ. Sɛ memfa no sɛ ebi a wopɛ sɛ woyɛ ebi a aduane kora no a mepa kyɛw before sɛ wobɛyɛ nkwan no you don't just start with it. Wobɛkɔ akɔtotɔ nneɛma bi a ehia that are materials. Yɛconsider saa nneɛma no sɛ nneɛma no yɛ deɛ materials. Nti wototɔ saa materials no ansa na woatumi ayɛ aduane korɔ no a wopɛ sɛ woyɛ dɛ woyɛ no. So that is material. So you can inventories no ɛbɛtumi ayɛ finished goods adeɛ a wɔwie anaasɛ ɛbɛtumi ayɛ a semi finished product adeɛ a yɛprocess yɛduru baabi a ɛnyɛ dɛ yɛnwieɛ. That is we consider it as a work in process. Ɛna ɛsan anoma baako a wɔn nso ka sɛ raw materials. Raw materials no deɛ ɛno no wɔn process nyɛ no hwee. Ayɛ sɛ wakɔtɔ tomato fresh tomato wɔ market. Fresh tomato no wɔn process nyɛ no hwee. Wo a ɔnyam yɛ ɔnyɛ no hwee. Akyɛ wayam no ɛhɔnom bɛyɛ work in process that is semi finished product. Okay. Ɛna ahɔ sɛ wode yɛ tomato paste. So it will go through manufacturing process no. Now ɔbɛnya final product. Okay. So it has three stages. That is from the raw materials inside the economy. Second one, we will be according work in process. That it talks about what? It talks about material not processed and every baby kakra only to the final what product. And it will final product. And let's just say a passing through stages mean I converted for stages mean I will final product. And then you consider and say inventory. So because inventory is money, you should care about the financial aspect of inventory. The inventory is can how do we consider inventory to be money? We can consider inventory to be money because it can be exchanged for cash. If that's what you can say. Let's take an instance here. Why do you go to the market to buy items to cook? Now, those that sell food outside, when do they go to market to buy items to cook? They go there to buy items. They combine them together to form what a finished product. Then what do? They sell that inventory, that product, that food they have prepared to what? Pay what? Revenue or what? Income. You get what I'm saying? Good. So inventory is money. So the final food that the person is selling, that is the final food that the person is selling as food is considered as what? Inventory. So what do we use it for? We sell it out to customers to generate income or what? Revenue for them to the phone if it's if the customers want. So inventory is money. Who will be here? That is, let's take an example. You have properties. Property is an inventory. Property, when you sell it, what do you get? You get money from it. Good. So let's come here. We have talked about it already. We're accounting for inventories. I said several materials. On the nuts, oats, flour, sugar. Flour would be let's say process be like flour is just a raw material. That's not best starting process. Let's take sugar. Now guys, if you are fizzy drinks, let's take an example of fizzy drink. Oh yeah, drink guys fruit juice and find them simple problem. We fruit juice, orange fruit juice, orange fruit juice, and this will fit in another orange fruit juice. Over combining them and maybe as now, but then orange final product, orange fruit juice, and Casana already open. For example, this is the when sugar, ever good. After so when sugar, when you orange and crown, and who produce it to what? Send it finish with, and that means who squeezing. After I always squeeze, we are we are adding sugar to. Yes, we are better than processing. Send a bacteria and microorganisms. We are, you have to get your bottle. That is the friend say bottle that is a container, right? Better your package out there. We be shame. Now we label our better than bottle any slogan other thing depending on the kind of company already. That one is now involved on the raw material. So in a single price is not a single unit is considered as well raw material. So bottle are separate is raw material. Sugar are separate is raw material. The orange alone is a raw material. Okay. Uh, so combining this together to form a single output. Okay, you consider the setting a finished good. But the process of combining them is what working process. That is where you will always say if you are all combining together and they are forming the final product now then open. So you can see work in progress consists of materials entering into what? The production process but not yet completed. So it has entered into production. And the was squeezy orange na bi amana bɛde nsuo but ɛwɔ orange juice no wondu process a ɛwɔ sɛ ɔyɛ dɛn woyɛ good that means was squeezing it out good so finish goods so you can see after you have squeezed it out you know, after through all the processes you have made your final orange juice that is considered as what your finished product is normally we consider it as what output good so probably we are going to discuss a lot of methods, but today our main focus is under the first in, first out method. So let's focus on that one very well. And then in case you have any questions, please can you ask it under the comment section. Or question very focus on the comment section. I'm always available to answer the questions for you. Okay, so now let's continue. Let's start with um, people. Now let's see first in first out method. So this method assumes that the first inventories bought are the first ones to be sold, and that inventories bought later are sold later. And to me, funny say, oh, Tom calculator about me offer calculator with Tom. Okay, and what's happened to different types of calculators? Marco 10. We are the Marco 10 to see how but we old one of being capital. We say auto calculator we be the first thing you do is you sell this calculator first to the person. Ɔso wɔtɔ baako, wobɛtɔn wei na edi nkan de ama no. Ansa na obi foforɔ ba sɛ wɔtɔ bi koraa watɔn abɛsɛ no ama no. Anaasɛ nipa korɔ no baa sɛ ɔretɔ mmiɛnsa a wokɔfaa 10 ɛna ɛbaeɛ na wei dada wei nso baako dada ɛwɔ hɔ no dada a wonyɛ dɛn wontɔn yɛ. Nti saa 10 no wobɛtɔn emu mmienu pɛ ɛna asɔ wei so ayɛ mmiɛnsa ayɛ dɛn ama no. Na style a wobɛtɔn ne sɛ wei baako no sɛ na the price ɛyɛ 10 cedis a wobɛtɔn wei ne 10 cedis. Ɛna ne one akɔfa baeɛ no baako price ɛyɛ bi a 30 cedis a ɛno bɛtɔn baako before you mean saying 60 cities na aka wei ho na sika no akɔyɛ sɛ 70 cities yɛntɔn ne nyinaa at one price bi a wei yɛ 10 cities nkyɛn ne yɛn nkɔfa baeɛ no nyinaa no ametɔ no nyinaa nso 10 cities daabi wokɔfa baeɛ no na ne price yɛ sɛn the price yɛ 30 cities nti second one of price yɛ 30 cities a wobɛtɔn ne 30 cities sɛ old one na ne price yɛ 10 cities a wobɛtɔn ne 10 cities wontɔn 30 cities because wosi new one ni ne price yɛ 30 cities ɛno na mɛtɔn that is what some of people that are retail people working here and we instead of saying dollar cost and so no one can go for products more shop one man as a store that instead of so return our price now being go for there because dollar cost so no one increase the price that is not how I own you but rather no turn based on say na the price no say answer na me ko fa any ni say we turn was am ko fu say ebesa na ko fa ni one banana dollar affect na what on say the dollar the price na affect dollar affecting price I reside there. That is how first in first method is what all about. Okay, so now let's go to a question here. So now let's come to this question here. Is there information below relates to a component part used in manufacturing a so-called Oberhammer? We have made first and was stock 50 units. That is for balance. Ɛwɔ so hɔ no stock nka no stocks anaasɛ nneɛma a ɔntɔnyɛ within accounting year no nyinaa sɛ mfa sɛ bi a December na woyɛ ho adwuma a mfa sɛ sorry 2022 ana woyɛ adwuma no a 2022 na woyɛ adwuma no a 2022 December no ɛnde yɛ no na wowɔ nneɛma mako mako 50 ɛwɔ store a na yɛntɔɔyɛ mfa sɛ wotie me ase mo ɛna mfa sɛ wowura a 2023 hɔnom no wowura hɔnom no na osisi hɔnom no na aka sɛ okay obi so baa so bɛtɔ nneɛma no bi ana wotɔn saa nneɛma no mu bi that 50 na aka no bi ayɛ dɛn ama no ɔsɛ sales at 40 units ɛfa sɛ wotie me ase cool wowie no saa bosome May mu naa no wosan kɔtɔɔ nneɛma 40 units bosome kuro no mu a wotɔn nneɛma 20 bosome kuro mu a wosan tɔn nneɛma 70 bosome kuro no mu no wosan tɔn nneɛma 80 ɛna bosome kuro no mu wosan kɔtɔɔɛ 60 ɛna bosome kuro no mu wosan tɔnyɛ 70 ɛna bosome kuro mu a etwa toɔ no bosome no a etwa toɔ wei mu ɛda etwa toɔ a wosan tɔn nneɛma bi mu na yɛ 26 ɛno nso wotɔn nneɛma sɛn 30 units ɛfa so wotie me ase nti ɛkwan wie no kwan bɛyɛ bɛfa so a yɛhu sɛ yɛtɔn ne sei yɛtɔn nneɛma ne sei that is how are we going to ascertain the price that is the selling price of the item and how are we going to ascertain the cost price of the item and what how many products will be left at the end of what the accounting year. Product go send this near car officer at the end of what the month of what May. So pay relative attention na yenko emergency and started calculation. Okay, so let's enter into details of what we are going to do here. Okay, so let's come back to this sheet. Let's come back to this sheet here. Okay, let's come back to this sheet here. So we are talking about what? FIFO. Okay, so now we have our dates. Okay, so on the 1st of May, we purchase an item, right? 1st of May, we purchase an item. So 1st of May, we purchase an item. Now let's check how many quantity did we, sorry, 1st of May, we're having a balance. Sorry for that. So 1st of May, we're having a balance in what our company. Yeah, we balance, that is, there was stocks we do that our company. Now I want to recording of the balance section. It make sure that who prepare the and we date or we receipts, there were issued or balance. Make sure that saa nneɛma mmiɛnsa wei nyinaa no bi akɔntɛni quantity dodoɔ a ɔretɔn anaasɛ ɔkɔtɔɔeɛ ɛna rate baako biara aboɔ na amount wode dodoɔ no akɔtɔɔeɛ times baako bi aboɔ no wonya asɛe na watwerɛ ɛna quantity the same thing wɔ ha sɛ ɛno nso no dodoɔ a wotɔɔeɛ wode times baako biara no bɔyɛ sɛn ɛno nso no watwerɛ wowie a balance no wowie a sɛ ɛyɛ sales na woyɛ ho adwuma a ɛwɔ receipt wɔ mu yi a receipt for sales ɛho na woyɛ adwuma a wɔba bɛte afiri balance no sɛ yɛ purchase that is receipt ɛna woyɛ ho adwuma no a mepakyɛw ɛno nso wode bɛba bɛka ho mesi ɛyɛ sales for issue ɛna woyɛ ho adwuma a mepakyɛw wote firi balance no mu na mepakyɛw ɛyɛ purchase that is under receipt na woyɛ ho adwuma a mepakyɛw wode bɛba bɛka balance no so let's get to it so on the 1st of May no mepakyɛw kind question na question ne say balance no mepakyɛw na ɛyɛ sɛn ɔse ɔtɔ na nneɛma aka hɔ no yɛ 50 units mepakyɛw tie na se at a rate of what 40 Ghana cedis so nti yɛde times a yɛnkyɛ hwɛ okay, so sorry, we wasn't displaying. I'm sorry for that. But if I try to this will be a small clear. You date in your receipt in your issue in the balance in your it may say or record the purchase Diana away receipt side, or record it sales Diana away issue side. And balance need meaning say or record it for sales side, that is issue side now because your balance what free home. Ana mepakyɛw sɛ worekɔɔde wɔ receipt hɔ nom nso a mepakyɛw woba balance hɔ nom a wode ka ho ɛsɛ worekɔɔde wɔ sales ase a that is receipt so issue hɔ nom no a mepakyɛw woba balance hɔ a wobɛte afiri ho worekɔɔde wɔ receipt side a mepakyɛw woba balance hɔ nom sei na mepakyɛw wode bɛka ho so yɛ first one na yɛ sɛn yɛnhwɛ first one na the first one is say stock 50 units at what 30 Ghana cedis. Into the bar question is one. I say stock 50 units at what 30 Ghana cedis. So the 30 Ghana cedis I say after the 50 no every time see 30. So quantity times what price. If you 50 times see 30 now, but you bring 1,500. Then you one. If you have month a san to us data to us was monthly so yɛkɔ a data ɛtoa so monthly mu no yɛ sɛn yɛntoa so wɔsi Macy sales 40 units at what 40 Ghana cedis right so wɔsɛlɛ what 40 units ebakyɛ tie o wɔsi wɔtɔn sɛn 40 units ebakyɛ wɔhu 40 units okay good at 40 Ghana cedis baa mesrɛ wo wowɔki bia no a yɛn consider amount na attached to sales but rather no yɛ consider the quantity no that is the unit no nko a nti yɛtɔn biara no a yɛbɛ relate to price a ɛyɛ dɛn yɛkɔtɔɔ no na mmom ɛnyɛ price a yɛne yɛayɛ taage wɔ ho na yɛne yɛyɛ taage wɔ ho ɛfa kyɛ wotie me ase good nti no let's continue okay so when we get to our Excel section this is what you're going to do here we have our 6th of May okay this is no wɔtɔn nneɛma dodoɔ sɛn wɔtɔn nneɛma 40 and then wɔtɔn nneɛma sɛn 40 nti yɛba yɛ sales wɔ no na sales wɔ no nso wɔtɔn sɛn 40 sɛ yɛbɛta yɛbɛyɛ nta ɛwɔ yɛ sales quantity wɔ no sɛ 40 units Okay. So now we move on to our rate. Rate no yɛka ɔso ɔtɔn nneɛma no baako biara sɛn ɔso ɔtɔn baako biara at a rate of what 30 Ghana cedis. So we have our 30 Ghana cedis. Bear in mind we don't use the rate at the sales, but rather we use the rate at the purchase section. All right. So we come here, our 40 times of 30, we get our 1,200, right? So we enter it here. Now let's come back to our point. I said whenever you are working and you are dealing with issue that is sales, we subtract from our balance. We subtract from where? Our balance. We subtract from where? Our balance. Good. So now we are going to subtract our quantity from the quantity we have at the balance, which will be what? 10. Then we are going to subtract our amount from the amount we have at the balance, but we are not going to work on the weight. Weight is not hard. So we come to the amount at what? The balance. We are going to subtract the amount that is issued from it. So we are going to have 1,500 minus of 1,000, which we are going to get to 300, right? So we move on to the next date. The next date is what? Let's go to the next date. Let's go back to the question. So the next date is what? 8. So purchase 40 units. That's what I was saying, 40 units. So we are back at what 35 Ghana cedis. Nti afei yɛba yɛ purchase one 8 one no question say what 8 May away 8 May your question is where then say ɔtɔ nneɛma mako mako saying 40, right? So ɔtɔ nneɛma mako mako 40 yeah. Oh, okay, let's get back to the question. I think the value, okay, 40. So never mark 40. Okay, so let's go back to our question. Sorry, our solution. So we have 40 here. Possible from back, we are saying 35 Ghana cedis, right? If we have 35 Ghana cedis times of 40 now, that's what I'm there. One more. So we have our 40 multiplied by our 35 Ghana cedis, probably going to get 1,400. So we enter it here. Okay. Then enter on we are. What do we do for the balance? I'm going to say, oh, yes, it's the next thing you're going to do is say, we receipt biara the patch the balance and who ye sales biara that is issue now the patch the issue. So I say the first by the captain the brother say 50. Okay. The patch of 2 3 100 the patch of 50 in the entire didn't about 50 100 40 now 50 the patch of yɛde nkan ato 50 no mu 40 ɛka asen 10 nti deɛ ɛkaa yi mu no ɛna ɛde yɛbɛka ho ɛnyɛ deɛ yɛde nkan ɛwɔ hɔ dada no na mmom yɛde nkan ato nti si a ne aka yɛ sɛn 10 na yɛde yɛtoo sisi a yɛde aka ho ɛka so bi na se afei yɛkɔ yɛ balance wɔ no that is amount wɔ no ɛno nso amount at rating wɔ no bɛka so ɛyɛ sɛn 1,400 ɛno a na yɛde bɛka wei mu ɛno nso yɛbɛnya sɛ 1,000 what 700 ɛka so nti ɛsɛ yɛ adwuma wɔ ha. Okay, so we move on to the next one. So date for as well so if it's me so at the end of the question the question be my was saying 13 so what on them saying 20 but on them 20. Okay, so 13th of May then got the 13th of May so what on them 13th of May also on them saying 20. So 20 year earlier, when it's the first one you're torn, you use first in first out. Because the first in first out, I say you didn't can't fall that down. On we and Sunday walk on the foot from walk on the gratuity message. Then I hear what that down. Here were 50, the total 40, a cousin, a captain. This is our 10, there was a tone we and Sana. Wofuro no a yɛbɛtɔ nkɔtɔ bɛka ho 40 yɛsi yɛatɔn yɛbɛbɛtɔn dada no a na yɛwɔ no a yɛkaa yɛ bɛka sɛ 10 yɛtɔn saa 10 no na saa dada no a yɛkaa na yɛtɔn baako bi a na ne bɔ yɛ sɛn na ne bɔ yɛ 30 nipa so na wode times wode times a yɛka so yɛbɛha sɛ yɛn ɛbɛnya yɛ sɛ yɛ total amount yɛn yɛ 300 okay good nti afei yɛsɛ na bɛtɔn 10 account because yɛsɛ yɛtɔn sɛn 20 10 na yɛtɔn yɛbɛtɔn firi 40 bi yɛtɔn firi 40 na 40 bi no bɛka sɛn 30 okay. The total 40, the total report is 300 and 35 Ghana cedis, price next and 35. The multiplication is 300 and 50. You actually we are a back quantity side. Sorry, balance side. Balance side, we see we issue the actually the basic we see to be an asset purchase be an average in the account. So issue the analysis side where then the back has a yaba RSF. So your 10 or has it that means 20 units. In 20 units in yaba then yaba RSF one has it. Gratuity has it. Yaba RSF media then from that has a ibenya 30 yaba so senior yaba has amount in so amount you know, the carry me woman, say 650 to 650, the Bible says to the 50 might be 1050. That's what I say, no, good. After years, also, the next month, then, also. It's yet, also, the next month, even when say next month, there's a question, it was, I think, it's a 15th of May. Ah, okay, let's check our question and see. So 15th of May, the question is 15th of May, and you know, how percent 70, snack of 4, 70. And so, because the purchase, Diana, and you walk or recording one, you walk or recording war, yeah, we see side. So, you know, how 70. Okay, you're recording a 70 maybe, and see, I'm right. Also, what come back to be asking. Okay, see, I'm right. And break a question, good, or come back to be asking, or come back to be 70 Ghana cedis, sorry, 42 Ghana cedis for Toba. Kubia 42 Ghana cedis. Nti afei yɛba ha sei na yɛaba recording no sɛ yɛ 42 Ghana cedis ɛwɔ ha. Nti yɛ 42 Ghana cedis no ɛwie. Ɛwie a yɛde 70 no atimes yɛ 42 no, and that is the quantity times what? The price. Nti yɛ 70 no times of what? Our 42. Ɛde multiply yɛ 2,940. Ɛyɛ 2,940 no ɛyɛ maybe I because to say in the show coming on you more because a receipt they were 30, the car store is saying 30, the 30 you send to the account when I said 100 the Yashaha. Because you saying a real amount to send a 1,050 amount of 2,940, but you know, so the car more I see the amount and the car more the car so about you in 3,990. 190. Okay, so now we move on to the next page. Okay, so you're quite next page. Then the question is to be okay, the question is to be on the 20th for 6 of what 80 minutes, 20th no autonomy percent 20. Sorry, autonomy percent 80. Autonomy 80 minutes. So the table is to be one, young cock, the table is what on the 20th. On the 20th May. Ìgbàsọ yẹba yẹn was it upon nneɛma sɛn 80. Bear in mind sɛnea ɛbɛka no mɛ sɛ first in first out nti wotɔn nneɛma a wodi nkan tɔɔeɛ no ansa na watɔn nneɛma a watɔ no siesie yɛn ìgbàsọ yɛn ma nti nea aka wɔ store no wotɔn wie asa na nea wotɔ bi si na bɛka ho atɔ. Yɛn mfa yɛn nsa nka 70 nkɔpem sɛ yɛbɛtɔn ɛka akyire sɛ ɛka akyire first no ɛka 30 yɛwɔ sɛ yɛtɔn sɛ 30 wie asa yɛbɛtɔn 70 mu bi yɛ 30 na yɛbɛtɔn ne ha as what price bɛn na 30 no na yɛ 40 mu ha na price no yɛ sɛn 35 yɛ 35 Ghana cedis the multiplier yɛ 30 times of what the 35 Ghana cedis yɛtɔn ɛbɛnya 1,000 and what 50. Okay, so we are moving on. Then I call as what we do. See, I told 80. The didn't got on 30. Yeah, actually, the didn't cast on him. I can't one a copper buy and one. The new one a copper buy the 2 movie. The 2 movies and I feel 50 because we are told 80 now movie. And as soon as the price is said, but we are 42 Ghana cedis. The price will be messy. The 42 Ghana cedis is yeah. We are in the 15 times yourself. The 42 Ghana cedis. The 50 times of our 42 Ghana cedis. The 2,100. The gratuity. If 2,100 yeah, less than a baby say, then they are told this year, that's all 80. They will see 80 and 300 in but you if you are even as you have 20. Then you buy amount in as well. The amount per year, I want to say, the balance amount to see. Instead of yeah, for receipt in quantity and see a day. The amount we have all receipt in one every amount there or balance meaning. The amount we receipt in we 150. So 1,050 plus 2,100 and probably when you 3,150. If you have 3,919, the position my revenue 800 and what 40. So you have 840. What I say. Now we move on to the next session. The next session, which date was at 22, right? 22nd May, right? So 22nd May. When you get to 22nd May, the next thing we're going to do is let's check the question. Is the question talking about purchase or talking about sales? So 22nd says purchase was 60 units, right, at 28 Ghana cedis. So 22nd purchase was 60 units. So we have a 60 here at 28 Ghana cedis here. So we multiply our 60 by our 28. So our 60 times of our 28, what are we going to get? We're going to get 1,680. So yeah, 1,680. Okay. So now what are we going to do? We come back to our what? Our balance. So when it comes to our balance, what are we going to do? I said receipts we add, issue we subtract. So we have our 60, we are going to add it to the last product already, a car and a car and 20 after the car was store and you have to start account. The account was when I said 80, 80 minutes nine. And therefore amount in the amount to issue every 840 no. You see the amount to 840 no one because so then when you 2,500 and what 20. So nearly a shame come. Yeah, to also give the 24th of May. Because so we 24th of May, young could be a question. 24th of May, no, it could be a 24th of May. Okay, so the 22nd of May, no, say the about your sector. Okay, so you're 24th of May. You're 24th of May now, then had it. 24th of May. 24th of May, it's sales of 70 units as well. 35 Ghana cedis. Sales of 70 units as well. 35 Ghana cedis. You say, okay, then my question is well. Sales of what? 70 units. That's what you say. Sales of what? 70 units. Okay, so 70 units are nearby sales you have seen. Now, the first thing about being said, the best sales wrong now. But say you're told 70, but before say you're told 70, bear in mind, say, now what 20 the hour near on Tony. If you didn't have to start 20 now, a car home. Graduating, you didn't kind to the most saying 50 and a car saying 20. That's a link to the 50 and a car saying 20. Yeah, told 20 now. At the price of 70, now you're saying 42 Ghana cedis. Because when it's still one. Yeah, to us now, I'm going to the amount in the amount in the price of the amount the 20 times the 42 the price of the 20 times the 42 now the price of even say even 800 and what 40 the price of not about so that price will come out. The next one I bet was say I told 20 the price of I say I see a thousand 70 that means I can 50 50 the return to the it's still in anyone the cost of buying the return and it's saying 50. So we told 50 the return at price of 28 Ghana cedis. The return at the price of 28 Ghana cedis I will 50 no every time still same. The better the time say yeah 28 no. Every time you 28 every 1,400 that's what you say. So the 1,400 now bear in mind wedding can say receipt be an here the free balancing. And say din kan aton 70 aton 70 or 20 or 20 or 70 that makes it the balance the car 80 means the 2 months so within 10. That's what I'm saying. Now, I have seen so the better amount you need more than you are the safe wedding, the balance in the wow. If you 840 plus of 840 plus of 1,400, the minute 2,240, yeah, because here 2,000, 2,520, yeah, because you do 2,520, no, because if you have actually 280. So now we move on to the next one. 26. That is the last base. 26 May. Let's go back to the question. Let's go back to the question. So when you get back to the question, you see 28 May was 30 units and was 32 Ghana cedis. So 28 May assigned for a year for Toledo saying 30 at 32 Ghana cedis. So the end is more see. Okay, so then continue on. So the Bahana is what I was saying 30 units, the way 30 national, what I was saying 32 Ghana cedis. Okay, the 30 times the 32, the 30 times the 32, the thing I said 960. Okay, 960 nti yɛtoa so a yɛba yɛ receipt hɔ nom nti unit no 30 na ɛka yɛba bɛka 10 no ho na yɛnya sɛ 40 so yɛde 30 wei no na bɛka yɛ 10 wei na ɛka yɛ no yɛnyɛ 40 yɛyɛ yɛaba ha sei yɛde amount 960 no bɛka yɛ amount sɛ 280 no nti mbakyɛw yɛmfa nka ho so 280 no mfa so yɛde ka ho a yɛbɛnya 1,240 mepakyɛw ɛno nso yɛde ahyɛ hɔ kama. Afei yɛwie a deɛ ehia yɛ kakra a ɛwɔ receipt hɔ nom a yɛhia paa no ɛyɛ ne total amount no. Mepakyɛw tie me ase. Nti receipt ne total amount no, mesrɛ wo wobɛyɛ dɛn? Wobɛbɔ ahye. Mepakyɛw tie me ase. Wobɛbɔ receipt no amount no ayɛ dɛn? So yɛba a yɛnhwɛ adeɛ. The receipt no first one ɛyɛ 1,400 mepakyɛw plus of the next one 2,940. Okay, so plus of the next one, you 1,680. Like the next one, we have 960. Okay, so now we added up. What are we going to get? We get 680. So 6,980. So our 6,980, the entire year, right? So we move on to the next one. We're also interested in issue no, a quantity. No? The quantity is saying first one, 40. So we have our 40 now. Then plus of the next one is saying 10. So we add plus 10. Then the next one is also saying 10. So we add plus 10 again. Then the next one is also saying 30. Add our 30 again. Plus of the next one is saying 50. So we add our 50 again. So the next one is saying 20. So plus of our 20. And the last one, we have 50 again. So plus of our 50. So finally, we have our 210. So we have our 210. We set our values here. All right. So this is what we are going to do now. We have been able to fix that first one. The next thing we are going to do right now is we move on to becoming. Becoming. Okay, so now let's move on to the next one. What are we going to do? Say if you calculate what? Gross profit. So we are using what? FIFO. So we have our FIFO. We have our FIFO here. So the next thing we are going to do right now is what do we have for our sales? Now our sales, what are we going to do? What do we have for the quantity of sales? We have 210 here. That is what we just recorded. So we are going to enter our 200 and what? Yeah. All right. So multiplied by, let's get back to our question. Let's go back to our question here. So when we get back to our question, you can see that each unit of soap was sold for 60 Ghana cedis. So we are going to calculate the amount of what sales. So let's get back to our solution. So we have our 210 multiplied by what? Our 60 Ghana cedis. Okay. So let's multiply and see what we are going to get. Okay. So when we multiply our 210 by our 60 Ghana cedis, we are going to get 12,600 here. Okay, so our 12,600 will be entered here. So we move on to the next one. All right, so let me bring it up. 12,600. So now we move on to the next one. What do we have for the next one? We are going to less cost of sales, right? So let's less cost of sales. Okay, so now move on our cost of sales. Our cost of sales, under it we have opening stock, opening stock. Okay, so what do you have for opening stock? Now let's go back to the question here. From our balance, we can identify our opening stock there. Before we start the transaction, I think we're having some minutes and also rates. So our opening stock was 1,500. That is what was our balance. Okay, so now this is what we're going to do. Our 1,500 Ghana cedis is going to be recorded here under the opening stock. So we have our 1,500 Ghana cedis here. So we move on to the next one. Our purchases, we are going to add our purchases to it. To add purchases. So we add our purchases to it. What was the amount we got for our purchases? We have amount for purchases as 6,000, 6,000, this is it, 6,900 and what? 980. Okay, so we have our 6,980. Then, next thing we are going to do right now is we underline it nicely, underline it nicely, then we move on. Okay, so we move on. Just a minute, I'm coming. So we underline it nicely. The next thing we are going to do is I am coming. Okay, so now let's move on. So when we add it up, let's see what we are going to get. We have our 1,500 plus of our 6,980. So when we add it up, the come within 8,480. So we have our 8,480. Okay, so we have our data there. The next thing we are going to do right now is we move on to the next session by means of lessen what our closing stock. So we have our less closing stock. So what do we have for our closing stock here? When we come back to the question, our closing stock was what? 1,000. The last ending part of what? Our balance. So our closing stock for this month will be our opening stock for the following month. So May closing stock was 1,240. It will be an opening stock for June. Okay, so now we have our rest closing stock. What is the amount for closing stock? We have 1,200 and what? 40. So what are we going to do? We are going to subtract it from it. So let's see. When we subtract it from it, what are we going to get? All right. So let's use our data to work on one of these things. So we have our 8,480, 8,480, then minus about 1,240. So let's see. When you subtract it, we are going to get what? We are going to get um, we are going to get uh, 7,000, 7,240. Okay, we are going to get 7,240. So the next thing we are going to do, we are going to ascertain what our net, we are going to ascertain, sorry, we are going to ascertain our gross profit. Okay, so when you subtract this from it, what are you going to get? So whatever you got, 7,240, we can got our cost. Let's bring it down. Then I'll just bring the data to it. So we have 7,240 there. So the name of this is what? The name of it is total cost of sales. Okay. So now the next thing we are going to do right now. Next thing we are going to do right now is we are going to subtract total cost of sales from our sales. So when you subtract, what are you going to get? Whatever you get will be our next gross profit. So we have our 12,600 now. Let's say 7,249 FE. It's a free man within a second. So we have 12,600 minus 7,240. Right, so if you bring up 5,360, that's what you say. Good. nti yɛate afiri mu awie nti firi mu yɛnyaeɛ dɛ ɛnyɛ nti ɛno no ɛyɛ final result nti the final result no yɛbɛfrɛ no sɛ gross profit yɛbɛfrɛ no sɛ gross profit so we have our gross profit gross profit okay so your gross profit here. Okay, so thank you very much for watching my video. So the website for so I look for I weighted average as also I simple average method. Please kindly subscribe to my channel. My name is once again Apostle Daniel, and there is in collaboration with some of my colleagues to help us achieve our goals today. So please kindly subscribe to my channel. I'll be sharing a lot of videos in the channel, and we also get to learn something to increase your academic knowledge. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Bye.